Students straggled by. No, I don't have to take a test tomorrow morning. I'm done with being tested, aren't I? Then why do I feel like I feel? Is Jennifer testing me? Is that what she's doing, setting me a test? The terrible thing inside of me is growing stronger, I swear to Christ. I almost feel pregnant. The terrible thing inside of me is alive and well and growing stronger. Blinking with his whole forehead, Bax Denziger staggered out into the light. He waved, approached. We fell into step. Without any prompting, he said, "I dreamt about you last night." And I just said, "You did, huh?" I dreamt about this, and you know what I said? I said, "Arrest me." Why would you say that, Bax? Listen, the week before she died, for the first time ever, Jennifer fucked up. She fucked up on the job. Big. I waited. He sighed and said, "I had her defending some distances in M101. Princeton were kicking our butt so bad they were killing us. Let me keep it simple. The plate density scan gives you a bunch of numbers, millions of them, which go into the computer to be compared and calibrated against the algorithms. Stop, I said. The more you're telling me, the less I understand. Give me the upshot." She changed. She changed the program. I see the reductions on Monday morning, and I'm like, yes, I'd been praying for data half that strong. I look again, and I see it's all bullshit. The velocities, the metallicities. She'd changed all the values and blown a month's work. I was up there, nude against Princeton, without a stitch on. Not an accident, you're saying, not an honest mistake. No, it was like malicious. Get this, when Miriam phoned and told me, my first reaction was relief. Now I won't have to kill her when she comes in. And then just awful, awful guilt. Mike, it's been bleeding me white. I mean, am I that brutal? Did she fear my anger that much? By now we were in the lot and skirting around the unmarked. I'd fished my keys from my pants. Denziger looked as though mathematics were happening to him right then and there. As though math were happening to him. He looked subtracted, with much of his force of life and his IQ suddenly taken away. "It's just a single element in a pattern of aggression," I said, looking to give him comfort with something that sounded technical. "You know Trader?" "Sure, I know him. Trader's a friend of mine." "You tell him about Jennifer's stunt?" "Stunt? No, not yet. But let me tell you something about Trader Faulkner. He's going to survive this. It'll take years, but he'll survive this. From what I gather, it's Tom Rockwell who has the biggest problem here. Trader's as strong as an ox, but he's also a philosopher of science. He lives with unanswered questions. Tom's going to want something neat, something that measures up. As I climbed into the car, he gave a bushy frown and said, "That was a good joke she played on me. I keep getting into these professional brawls because my preferences are too strong. She always said I took the universe much too personally. Tom's going to want something that measures up." And again that thought. She was a cop's daughter. This has to matter. How? "Are you here to meet Jennifer Rockwell?" The Mallard is the best hotel in town, or it certainly thinks it is. I know the Mallard well because I've always had a weakness, what's wrong with me, for the $20 cocktail. And for the 20-cent cocktail, too. But I never resented the extra. It's worth it for the atmosphere. A double Johnny Black in elegant surroundings with a sleepy-looking cocksucker in a white tux slumped over the baby grand. That was my idea of fun. Fortunately, I never came in here when I was really smashed. For a 2-day climb, give me Yorks or Dreelys on Division. Give me a long string of dives on Battery. The Mallard's the stone mansion in Orchard Square. Inside, it's all wooden panels and corporate gloom, recently refurbished. A high-tech shrine to Great Britain. And with a lot of duck shit everywhere you look. Prints, models, lures, decoys. Those little carved quacks, which have no value except rarity, sell for tens of thousands. I got there early, equipped with Silvera's literature on Arn Debs. I sat at a table and ordered a Virgin Mary, heavy on the spice. Arn Debs subscribes to Business Weekly, Time, and Playboy. Naturally, I'm thinking, why did Jennifer give him my number? Arn Debs drives a Trans Am, carries a 7,000 limit on his MasterCard. Right now, I have to assume that she wanted me to cover or middle for her, which I guess I would have gone ahead and done. Arn Debs has season tickets to the Dallas Cowboys. Probably I'd cover for any woman on Earth, in principle, with one exception. Arn Debs rents action movies by the shitload, with one exception, Jennifer's mother. Arn Debs is a registered Republican. Nobody seems to worry too much about Miriam. Maybe we assume that, with her background, catastrophe is all wired in. Arn Debs wears a bridge from eye tooth to eye tooth. Here's another read. Jennifer gave him my number because he was bothering her and she wanted me to roust him. Arn Debs has 3 criminal convictions. 2 are for mail fraud. These are out of Texas. 1 is for aggravated assault. This rap goes way back to when he was just an upcountry boy. Jennifer screwing up on the job. This could play 2 ways. A rush of blood, maybe. Or a kind of personal inducement, giving her one more reason not to see Monday. Now, wait a minute. The decoy room was a zoo when I walked in here, but 8 o'clock has come and gone, and I'm thinking, no, it's that fucking room emptier at the near end of the bar. How could I miss the guy? I had him DOB'd at 125.47. 6'3", 220, red hair. I guess I just couldn't feature it, him and Jennifer, in any connection. And I'd been watching him, too. There was no escaping Arn Debs. Until around 8:15 he was sticking to beer out of deference to his boner. Then he despaired and switched to scotch. Now he's swelling and swearing and sneering at the waitresses and boring the barman blind, asking the kid about his love life, his prowess, as if it's the feminine of prow. Jesus, aren't drunks a drag? Barmen know all about bores and boredom. It's their job. They can't walk away. I hang fire till the kid dreams up some chore for himself in back. Then I stride the length of the room. Everyone says I like to dress as a beat cop, as the beat cop I once was. But my jacket is black cotton, not black leather or sateen. And I wear black cotton pants, not the issue serge. And no nightstick, flashlight, radio, hat, gun. The man's wearing cowboy boots under his slacks. Another giant. Americans are going through the roof. Their mothers watch them grow, first with pride, then with panic. You Arn Debs? Who the fuck wants to know? The law, I said. That's who the fuck wants to know. And I opened my jacket to show him the shield pinned to my blouse. Are you here to meet Jennifer Rockwell? Maybe and maybe not, and fuck you, whichever. Yeah, well, she's dead, I told him, and I made a quelling gesture with my raised palms. Easy now, Mr. Debs. This is going to go just fine. We'll sit in the corner there and talk this thing through. He said quietly, get your damn hand off of me. And I said quietly, okay. You want to come and listen while I call the house? Do your wife and daughter know about Jennifer and you? Do they know about that spot of pain you had in August '81? With what's-her-face, September Duval? That was a rape beef, wasn't it? Cop to ag assault. That was when you were still living up in Fuckbag, Nebraska, remember? Eric, I called to the barman, let me have a virgin and a double doers for the gentleman over at my table. Right away, Detective Houlihan, right away. What I'm looking at here, I think, and he's sitting opposite me now, crowded into the nook by the window with a hollow duck practically perched on each shoulder, is a semi-reformed shit-kicker in a good tweed coat and twills, who likes to get it wet at both ends whenever he's out of town. Table for 2 booked at the French restaurant upstairs. Tex tan, dark glasses ready in his top pocket, and a head of tawny hair he's real proud of. I'm surprised he's not called Randy or Rowdy or Red. High, wide, and handsome with itty-bitty eyes. A card-carrying tail-chaser who's that close to being a fruit. I said, drink up, Mr. Debs. He said, well, this is a hell of a turn for the evening to take. I said, so you're a friend of Jennifer Rockwell's? He said, yeah, well, I only met her but once. I said, when? He said, oh, maybe a month back. I make these business trips regular, like every 3 or 4 weeks. Met her on my last trip, February 28. I remember because no leap year. Met her February 28. I said, where? He said, here. Right here. At the bar there. She was sitting a couple of stools away, and we got talking. I said, she was here alone, not waiting for anybody? He said, yeah, sitting at the bar there with a white wine, you know. I said, so what were you thinking? He said, to tell you the truth, I thought she was like a model or maybe even some kind of high-class call girl, like you get in the better hotels. Not that I was fixing to pay for it. Then we got talking. I could tell she was a nice girl. She wasn't wearing a wedding band. She married? I said, what did you talk about? He said, life, you know, life. I said, yeah, what? Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, look before you leap, that kind of stuff. He said, hey, what is this? I'm answering your questions, okay? I said, you tell her about your wife and kid? He said, it didn't come up. I said, so you made a date for tonight? He said, listen, I conducted myself like a gentleman. Debs went into a thing about the company he works for in Dallas, how they had a guy come down from D.C. to give a seminar on social etiquette. A seminar on how to avoid sexual harassment suits. He reminded me that you can't be too careful, not these days, and he always conducted himself like a gentleman. I said, "What happened?" He said, "I said you feel like some dinner here at the hotel?" She said, "I'd like that, but tonight's a problem. Let's do it next time you're in town." I said, "How come she gave you my phone number?" He said, "Your phone number?" I said, "Yeah, we talked yesterday." He said, "That was you?" Hey, go figure. She said it wasn't her number, said it was a friend's number, said if I called her at home there might be a problem with the guy she lived with. I said, "Okay, Swinger, that's not how it happened. Here's how it happened. You were hassling her. Wait, you were hassling her in the bar, in the foyer. I don't know. Maybe you followed her out onto the street. She gave you the number to get you off her back. You were..." He said, "That's not what happened, I swear." Okay, I escorted her out to the cab stand, and she wrote down the number for me. Look. From his inside pocket, Debs produced his wallet. With his big fingers, he leafed heavily through some loose business cards. There. He held it up for me. My number, followed by Jennifer's crisp signature, followed by 2 X's, crosses, for kisses. I said, "You kiss her, Arn?" He said, "Yeah, I kissed her." And he paused. It was gradually dawning on Debs that the momentum had turned his way. He was feeling good again now. What with the fomenting adrenaline and the double-doers he'd long gotten down himself, as if against time. "Yeah, I kissed her. There a law against that now?" "With your tongue, Arn?" He straightened a finger at me. I conducted myself with the utmost correctitude. Hey, chivalry ain't dead. What'd she die of, anyhow? Well, that's something. She's dead, but chivalry isn't. Accident with a firearm. Hell of a thing, all that beauty, and the poise, you know? Okay, thanks, Mr. Debs. That's it? Yeah, that's it. He leaned closer. His breath, over and above the booze, was richly soured with male hormones. He said, "We talked on the phone last night. I thought you were a guy. Not a little guy either, somebody my size. People make mistakes, right? I got real sure you were a woman when you showed me your shield. Give me another look at it. For your information, in my room I got a bottle of Krug and an ice bucket. Maybe tonight ain't a total wipe. Hey, what's the rush? You on duty? Come on, stick around and have a real drink." In the old days, I would sometimes booze my way through clinical aversion. I used to take the pills that give you epileptic fits if you mix them with alcohol. And I'd mix them with alcohol. It felt like it was worth it. What the fuck? The convulsions only last for a few days. Then you don't have a problem. I couldn't do that now. Mix me with alcohol and the result would be fulminant hepatic failure. I couldn't drink my way through that shit because I wouldn't be around. It's not too late. I'm going to change my name to something feminine, like Detective Jennifer Houlihan. For a girl to have a boy's name and to keep it, that's not so unusual. I've come across a Dave and a Paul who never tried to pretty things up with Davina or Pauline. I've even met another Mike. We stuck with it. But how many grown men do I know who are still called Priscilla? Here's something I've often wondered. Why did my father call me Mike if he was going to fuck me? Was he a fruit, too, on top of everything else? Here's something even more mysterious. I never stopped loving my father. I have never stopped loving my father. Whenever I think of him, before I can do anything about it, I feel great love flooding my heart. And here comes the night train. First the sound of knives being sharpened, then its cry, harsh but symphonic, like a chord of car horns. Tomorrow night I'm seeing Trader Faulkner, and something new, something more may emerge from that. But otherwise, it's pretty much made. It's down, isn't it? I have followed up all the names in Jennifer's address book. I have been through the phone records and the credit card accounts, and there's only one gap. No hit on the lithium. Tony Silvera has been onto Adrian Drago in narcotics, and they gave their snitches a roust. But this isn't a street drug we're talking about, and I don't build on nailing the connect. But hey, Jennifer Rockwell was a cleavage in a lab coat, but she wasn't Mary Poppins. A spinning top looks still and stable until the force starts to weaken, a tremor. Then it slows and slews. It wobbles and reels and clatters. Then it stops. Answers are coming together, are they not? We got sex and drugs and rock and roll. This is more than you usually get. This is plenty. This is practically TV. So why don't I buy it? I keep thinking about her body. I keep thinking about Jennifer's body and the confidence she had in it. See her in a swimsuit and you just thought, one summer day, 5 or 6 years ago, the Rockwells took the whole roof pool at the Trum for their anniversary. And when Jennifer came out of the cabana and walked toward us in her white one-piece, we all fell silent for a beat, and Silvera said, not bad. Then Grandma Rebka clapped her hands together and wailed, "Zucht's offen mir!" Should be said about me, we should all be so lucky. The sight of her instantly had you going along with the idea that the basis of attraction is genetic. Get Jennifer and your genes would surge forth in a limo. Her body was kind of an embarrassment, a thrilling embarrassment. To everyone, even Trader dipped his head. But it wasn't an embarrassment to her. The confidence with which she carried it was self-evident, self-sufficient. I guess the word I want is consummate. She never needed to give it a moment's thought. And when you consider how much the rest of us think about our bodies and what kind of thoughts these are, yes, absolutely right. We should all be so lucky. Something else was said that day around the roof pool at the Trum. The two grandmas, Rebka and Rhiannon, who died within a month of each other the following year, they were a great double act. As a 10-year-old, Rebka had cleaned the streets of Vienna with her father's skull cap, and she was an angel of light. Silver Spoon Rhiannon, on the other hand, was dour, sarcastic, and mean, and Welsh. If you thought Schadenfreude was a German word, then 5 minutes with Rhiannon would make you think again. And the mouth on her, still with that accent, she could even shock me. In a long life of uninterrupted ease, Grandma Rhiannon had one real cause for complaint. All her children grew and flourished, but she'd had 15 of them. Out by the pool that day, she said, "I'm like a horse in the bull ring. I've got bags of sawdust in me." And I said, "Is that a Welsh thing? I thought it was an Irish thing, having a ton of kids." "No, not really. It was him, Billy. It was him wanted them. I only wanted 2. Even after little Alan, he was on at me to have more." "More? Day and night. Just one more." I'd say, "Come on, Billy, give it a rest. I'm all as it is." "You're what?" She pronounced the 2 words the same. All whole. That's what I sometimes think this case is. All whole. Changing all the givens. Tonight's my date with Trader. One thing I do before I go over there is look out the transcript of the interrogation I conducted downtown. My effort there in the small interrogation room was misdirected, but I'm impressed by its tenacity. Now I see this. I have a witness that puts you outside the house at 7:35, looking distressed, mad, riled up. Sound familiar, Trader? Yes, the time and the mood. I missed that earlier, and now I remind myself to pick up on it tonight. Why distressed? Another thing I do before I leave is spend about an hour in the bathroom with the concealer, and the contour powder, and the lip liner, and the tweezers, for Christ's sake. 2, I'd washed my hair the night before and had an early one. I guess a person will sometimes do this, no real reason attaching except for herself, to feel at her best around a man she likes. Another explanation may be that I have a crush on Trader. Well, so. Doesn't mean anything. Say only this: if he wants comfort, I will give it to him. On my way out the door, Tobe looked at me oddly. Tobe's okay. He's a gentle giant, as opposed to a violent one, as opposed to Dennis, Sean, John, Dwayne. Long ago, I learnt that I cannot get the good guys. I am one of the good guys, and I go out there and get the bad guys. I can get the bad guys, but I cannot get the good guys. I just cannot get the good guys. It was a long evening, and it went in drifts. Trader has moved back into the apartment. My death scene has been destroyed. It's been redecorated. The chair in the bedroom, the same chair, sits swathed in a white sheet. A stepladder still stands in the corner. Trader says he hasn't yet slept in there. He ends up on the couch, watching TV. "Hey, a TV. You got a life at last," I said. Innocent words were proving difficult to find. What's it like being here? It's better being here than not being here. Again, taken generally, this was not an opinion that Jennifer Rockwell would have shared. I stood around in the kitchen while he fixed me a soda, ice and lemon. Trader's body was always slow-moving. This night, his face, too, seemed to bear the shadow of ponderousness. If it wasn't for the math and everything at odd moments, you might almost have figured him for one of those morons in a matinee mask. One of those guys given good looks for no good reason, except to spread a little more grief. But then the light of intelligence would return to the brown softness of his eyes. I tried to remember if he'd always had this frown, this shadow, or did he pick it up a month ago on March 4th? The birth date of so much stupefaction. He was drinking. He drank steadily all evening. Jack Daniels, rocks. Raising his glass, he turned to me and said, "Well, Mike." But he never turned to me and said, "What have you got? What did you learn?" I wanted to know what he knew. He didn't want to know what I knew. At times, our talk was very, what shall I say, orderly. How about children, Trader? I guess I'm still looking for a precipitant that's the right shape and size. Might she have had anxiety about that? There was no pressure on her. I was pretty keen, but I'd never push it. If she wanted none, fine. If she wanted 10, also fine. It's like abortion. It's the woman's call. This is left field. How did she feel about abortion? It was about the only agenda-type issue she was interested in. Libertarian, but with great qualms. Me too. That's why I goof off on the subject and hand it over to the women. At times, not so orderly. At times, our talk tended toward the not-so-orderly. Look at this. He was in the armchair, his reading chair, next to a round table on which books were stacked. Also lamp, glass, framed photographs. Now he reached for a certain ruffled paperback saying, "It was in the shelves with its spine to the wall. I can't believe she actually read it." Why's that? It's so lousily written. A small press publication called Making Sense of Suicide. By some doctor with 2 middle initials. I flicked through it. Not one of those how-to guides that have recently been getting a lot of play. Written more from the counseling end of the operation. Crisis center, helpline, talk down. She made marks, I said. Yeah, habit. She always read with a pencil in her hand. I don't know when she bought it. Could have been any time in the last 10 years. She signed it. But she didn't date it, and her signature, her handwriting settled down pretty early. Why don't you nuke it, Mike, with your forensic arsenal, the boron activation test? Wasn't that it? I sat back. I couldn't quite get a take on his mood. I said, "That was Colonel Tom, Trader. The guy was down to his last marble. I had to do it for Tom." "Hey, I got one for you." "Tom did it." "Did what?" "Killed Jennifer, murdered Jennifer." "Come again?" "He's the least likely guy, so it has to be him. Come on. We can cook this shit up. All you need is a little irresponsibility. It's like redecorating the bedroom. You can do it 100 ways. Miriam did it. Bax Denziger did it. You did it. But let's stick with Tom. Tom did it. He waits till I leave, then he sneaks in and does it." "Okay, then why doesn't he let it sleep? Why'd he crank me up? What am I doing sitting here tonight?" "That's a blind. That's just a diversion, so the truth would never occur to anyone sane." "Motive?" "Easy, I got it. Jennifer recalled a terrible secret from her past, a memory she'd tried to suppress. With drugs." "With drugs?" "When she was just a little girl, she asked her daddy why he came to her bedroom, why he made her do those bad things, why he..." "Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike." "That's okay. Let's stop this. Jennifer did it." "Jennifer did it. See? Why doesn't everyone just keep their mouths shut? Why doesn't everyone just shut the fuck up?" Then, a revelation. "Did you talk to Professor Denziger?" "Yeah, I talked to Bax." "He told you what?" "Yeah, he did. He agonized good about that. I thought it was kind of typical of her in a way. Not the incompetence, that wasn't typical, but how she did it. Changing the values, changing all the givens." "Why's that?" "Like if you said to her, I don't know, who's going to win the election in November?" She had trouble getting interested because of the givens, the parameters. Not just the candidates, the whole thing. For her, the thread had gotten lost so long ago. "Did Denziger tell you that what she did looked deliberate?" "I think the only way you can genuinely go wrong there is when you have an axe to grind. Like when Sandage started wowing everyone with his quasar discoveries. His results were contaminated by brown dwarfs, which quasars can resemble. It's like in tennis. You want the ball to be good so much you actually see it's good when it's not. Jennifer wouldn't see anything that wasn't there. I think it was just part of the pattern. You said she wasn't the pattern type. But that's what mental illness does. It ropes you into a pattern. Some very corny stuff. There's something else she did, too. She started buying things." "What? Don't tell me. Cars, pianos." "No, paintings. Real crap, too. She wasn't particularly visual. I'm not either. But they look like airport art to me. I keep turning deliveries away. The galleries don't holler. It's a suicide. They've seen this before." "She used post-dated checks." "Yeah, post-dated checks. There were 2 deliveries on Friday. The checks were dated April 1st. April Fool. April Fool." Then another revelation. He just bummed a smoke off me, his first of the evening. I was halfway through my second pack. I said, "This might surprise you, but I don't think so. From the autopsy, toxicology, I get the feeling Tom's told you about it. Miriam told me about it. She tells me everything in the end. The lithium? I played dumb, but I already knew." "You knew Jennifer was on lithium?" "Not while she was alive, I didn't." He sighed and said, "Mike, tell me something. That book, Making Sense of Suicide, doesn't make sense of suicide or anything else, but it's extra vague on suicide notes. How many suicides leave suicide notes?" That's a very slippery stat, and I told him so. "And what's the difference? What does it mean?" "Nothing in itself," I said. "Depends on the person, depends on the note. Some offer comfort, others blame." She left a note. She sent me a note by U.S. mail. I went back to the office a week later, and it was there in my tray. "Here, help yourself." Now I'm going to do what she did on Saturday morning when she posted it. I'm going to take a walk around the block. I waited till I heard the door. I huddled down over the tape recorder. I tried to raise my voice above a whisper, and I couldn't. I had to use the volume control on the machine because mine just wasn't working. "My darling," I whispered, "you're back at work now, and that consoles me. That and the fact that you're the kindest lover on the planet and will eventually have to forgive me for what I've done. You knew me 10 times better than anyone, but I wasn't quite what you thought I was. Almost exactly a year ago, I started getting the sense that I was losing control of my thoughts. That's the only way I can put it. My thoughts went about their thought thing, doing what they had to do, while I was just an innocent bystander. I didn't dare go through Talkinghorn because I couldn't trust him not to run to Dad. I thought I could fix it myself, which might have been part of the internal liar dice. I read up on it, and when you thought I was at the Brogan on Mondays, I was at Rainbow Plaza where all the GCG people take their lunch breaks on the lawn. You never scored a dime bag so easy. Since last May, I've been on varying doses of a stabilizer, Sterzone, Depakote, Tegretol. I sound like moral stances. They dry your head out. But they stopped helping. I'm frightened. I keep thinking I'm going to do something that nobody's ever done before, something altogether inhuman. Is that what I'm doing now? Baby, I'm staying with you until tomorrow night. You were perfect for me. And remember that you couldn't have done anything any different. Help Ma, help Dad. Help Dad. I'm sorry, 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 I'm sorry. And so it went on, over the page to the end of the sheet. I'm sorry. Sometime later, I was in the kitchen again, drinking soda again, watching the man move around again. Not just the cold air had pushed the blood into his cheeks. His movements now were sharper and noisier, tinnier, and his breath sounded raw. I changed the tape. I smoked, feeding the thing inside of me, the thing inside of me. It wasn't any calmer. It, too, was sharper, noisier, colder, angrier. He said over his shoulder, "Mike, don't you have symptoms when you're on that shit? Physical symptoms?" "Yeah, you can do," I said. "Doesn't your face swell up and your hair fall out?" "It can do, yeah. Suddenly you're Kojak." "Mike, you'll believe me when I say my faith in my powers of observation has seen better days. I lived with a mood-drugged suicide for a year without noticing. Maybe I wouldn't even have noticed that I was living with Kojak. But I'd have noticed that I was fucking him, wouldn't I? Reassure me." "Some people don't get any physical symptoms. Not double vision, not even the breath. Jennifer was very lucky with her body. A pity about that. A pity about that. Her shine is leaving these rooms. Jennifer's will to order is leaving these rooms. Slow male entropy is beginning. But for the time being, nothing else has changed. Her blue trunk still occupies its place beneath the window. Her bureau lies open in its ante-mortem busyness. The bowl of potpourri goes on aging between the lamp and the framed photograph on the table we're sitting at. "Jesus," I said, smiling. "What was she on? Magic mushrooms?" Trader leaned forward. "Jennifer?" "Graduation. In the photograph, the 3 girls are standing, no, bending in their robes and flat hats. Jennifer is laughing with her mouth about as wide as a mouth can go. Her eyes are moist seams. The 2 friends don't appear to be in much better shape. But there is the 4th girl in the photograph, trapped in the corner of the frame. And she seems immune to this laughter, immune, maybe, to any laughter at all. No, he said. Jennifer, no. See, this is where it stops adding up for me. He paused, and then came the frown, or the shadow. What does? I said. What stops? She hated anything mood-altering for herself. I mean, she did the usual shit at college, like everybody else, but then she quit, and that was that. You know Jennifer. 1 glass of wine, but never 2. She had a thing about it. The whole first year I met her, she had this crazy housemate who was Phillida, I said, and saw that shadow again. Phillida. She was taking zinc and manganese and steel and chrome, and Jennifer said she's eating a Sherman tank every day. What do you expect? She isn't anyone now. I mean, I like to drink some nights, and I like to smoke a little weed, and Jennifer never had a problem with that. But for herself, no sleeping pills, nothing. Even an aspirin was a last resort. She keep up with this Phillida? No, thank God, a few letters. She got farmed out to her stepmother, and they moved to Canada. That was a buzz. After a time, I said, you mind if I ask you a personal question? Come on, Mike, don't be ridiculous. How was your sex life? Good, thanks. I mean, in the last year. You didn't feel that it was dropping off a little? Maybe. Might have dropped off a little, I guess. Because that's almost always a sign. So how often were you making love? Oh, I don't know. I suppose in the last year it was down to once or twice a day. A day? You don't mean once or twice a week? Once or twice a day, but more at the weekend. And who would initiate, huh? Was it always your idea? Listen, tell me to fuck off and everything, but some women, when they're that good-looking, it's like honey from the icebox, it won't spread. What was she like in the sack? Adorable. Relax. I'm feeling good telling you this. It's funny. That letter you saw is about the only one she ever sent me that's halfway printable. She used to say, you think anyone would believe how much of our time we spend doing this? 2 rational adults. When we went south on vacation, we'd come back and everyone would ask us why we didn't have a tan. So sex was a big part of it. It didn't come in parts. You never sensed any restlessness in her. I mean, she hooked up with you pretty early. You don't think she might have felt she'd missed out? Well, what the fuck do I know? Listen, Mike, what can I tell you? Let me say how it was with us. We never really wanted to be with anybody else. It was kind of worrying. We had friends, we had brothers. We saw a lot of Tom and Miriam, and we went to parties and hung with our crowd. But we never liked that as much as we liked being with each other. We spent our time talking, laughing, fucking, and working. Our idea of a night out was a night in. Are you telling me people don't want that? We kept expecting it to quiet down, but it never did. I didn't own her. I wasn't secure in her 100%, because once you are, the best is over. I knew there was a part of her I couldn't see, a part she kept for herself. But it was a part of her intellect. It wasn't some fucking mood. And I think she felt the same about me. We felt the same about each other. Isn't that what we're all meant to want? I was a long time leaving. Already I had my bag on my lap when I said, the letter. You have that in your wallet when I yanked you downtown? He nodded. I said, that might have taken some of the wind out of my sails. Mike, you didn't have any wind in your sails. You just thought you did. I had Colonel Tom is what I had. It might have speeded things up. Yeah, but I didn't want things speeded up. I wanted them slowed down. On March 4th, you said she seemed cheerful all day, typically cheerful. That's right. But see, Jennifer thought you had a moral duty to be cheerful, not to seem cheerful, to be cheerful. And you, dear? You said that as you were leaving you felt distressed. Why distressed? His face was blank, but then a look of hilarious humiliation moved quickly across it. He closed his eyes and leaned his head on his hand. Another time. And he stood up saying, let's do distressed another time. We were in the hall and he was helping me on with my jacket. And he touched me. He lifted the hair out from under my collar, smoothed his hand across my spine. I felt confusion. I turned and said, when people do this, when people do what she did, there's a thing that makes it different. They end it. They get out. It's over for them. But they kind of flip it over to you. He considered me closely for a second. He said, no, I haven't found that. You okay, honey? I gave him my softest look, but I was daunted, I think. Could I honestly say that Jennifer was an act I could even take his mind off, let alone follow? And if you aren't digging yourself at such moments, then nobody else is going to dig you. And maybe my look wasn't so soft. Maybe now my softest look just isn't so soft. Yeah. You okay, Mike? This place, he said, and he glanced around vaguely. I realize. Have you ever lived with somebody who was physically beautiful? Physically. No, I said, without having to think of Dennis, of Dwayne, of Sean, of John. I realize now what an incredible luxury that was. This place, I guess this place is still pretty nice, but now it feels like a flop to me, like a dump. Cold water, walk up. All I came home with then was Making Sense of Suicide, and in its pages, against all expectation, it is, as Trader said, lousily written, as well as smug and sanctimonious and seriously out of date. I would find what I needed to know. The trail was cold. The trail was at absolute zero. But then I shivered, the way you do when you finally start to get warm. Now there's nothing. I got back to the apartment around midnight. In the bedroom, I stood over Tobe for the longest time, what he goes through with his body. It's all he can do, just to sit there on a summer evening watching a game show with a beer can sweating into his hand. Even in sleep, he suffers, like a mountain is always in pain. The slipping discs of its tectonic plates, the gristle caught between crust and mantle. When I quit working murders and had nothing much before me all day except the slow work of keeping dry, I used to stay up until the night train came, whenever, and then the long sleep until the night train came, causing panic among the crockery, shaking the ground beneath my feet. And that's what I intend to do now, until whenever. There are 3 things I didn't tell Trader Faulkner. I didn't tell Trader that, in my view, Jennifer's letter was not the work of a woman under terminal stress. I've seen 100 suicide notes. They have things in common. They express insecurity, and they are barren, arid. Sterazone, Depakote, Tegretol, they sound like moral stances. Toward the finish of the lives of suicides, more or less all their thoughts are self-lacerating. Whether they soothe or snarl, cringe or strut, suicide notes do not seek to entertain. I didn't tell Trader that with an affective or emotional disorder the sexual drive sharply declines, nor did I add that with an ideational or organic disorder it almost invariably disappears, unless the mania is itself sexual, which gets noticed. I didn't tell Trader about Arn Debs, not just because I didn't have the heart, but because I never believed in Arn Debs. I didn't believe in Arn Debs for a single second. It's 2:30, and the phone is ringing. I suppose that for a regular person this would mean drama or even catastrophe, but I picked it up as if it was ringing in the PM. What? Mike, are you still up? I got another one for you. Yes, Trader, I'm still up. Are we going to do Distressed now? Consider this a preamble to Distressed. I got one for you. Are you ready? His voice wasn't slurred. It was slowed, idling at around 33 RPM. Wait a second. I'm ready. There's a widowed mailman who has worked all his life in a small town. A small town with extreme weather conditions. Retirement is nearing. One night he sits up late, composing an emotional farewell to the community, stuff like, I have served you in ice and in rain, in the thunder and the sunshine, under lightning, under rainbows. He has it printed up, and on his last but one day, he drops a copy into every mailbox on his run. The next morning is bleak and cold, but the response to his letter is warm enough. He has a cup of coffee here, a slice of hot pie there. He waves away the modest cash gifts he's offered. He shakes hands, he moves on, a little disappointed maybe, that no one seems to have been stirred by the quality of his dedication, by its poetry, Mike. Last stop on his round is the house of a retired Hollywood lawyer and his 19-year-old wife. She's a retired hat-check girl, gorgeous, full-figured, wide-eyed. He rings the bell and she answers, You're the man who wrote the letter about the thunder and the sunshine? Come in, sir, please. In the dining room, there's a table groaning with exotic food and wine. She says her husband has just left for Florida on a golfing trip. Would he care to stay for lunch? After coffee and liqueurs, she leads him by the hand to the white fur rug in front of the glowing fire. They make love for 3 hours. In the amber light, Mike, he can't believe the intensity of it, the strength of it. Was it that very poetry that had so moved the young woman? Was it the rainbows? He thinks that, at the very least, she's his for life. He gets dressed in a daze. Wearing a flimsy housecoat, she leads him to the front door. Then she reaches for her purse on the hall table. She offers him a $5 bill. And he says, "What's this for? I'm sorry, I don't understand." And she says, "Yesterday morning over breakfast, I read your letter out loud to my husband about the ice and the rain and the lightning. I said, what the hell am I supposed to do about this guy? He said, fuck him, give him $5. And lunch was my idea." I managed to kind of laugh. "You don't get it." "No, I get it. She did love you, Trader. I'm sure of that." "Yeah, but not enough to stick around." "Okay, let's do distressed. I apologize in advance. It'll be no damn use to you." "Well, let's do it anyway." We spent Sunday nights apart, so it always seemed like a good idea to go to bed together late Sunday afternoon. That's what we always did. And that's what we did on March 4th. I'd really like to say it felt different that Sunday, like during the act of love she went away or disappeared or some such. We could cook something up, couldn't we? Have her say something like, "Don't make me pregnant," but no. It was exactly like it always was. I drank a beer. I said goodbye. So why was I distressed? By now his voice was sounding like my tape recorder when the battery's about to fritz. I lit a cigarette and waited. Okay. On my way down the stairs, I tripped on my shoelace. I knelt to retie it, and it snapped. I also caught a hangnail in my sock. On my way out the side door, I ripped my coat pocket on the handle. That's it. So when I hit the street, I was naturally very distressed. Mike, I was suicidal. I wanted to say, "I'll come over." Fuck him. Give him $5. I thought that was pretty funny the first time around. Now it makes me scream with laughter. I wanted to say, "I'm coming over." Oh, Christ. I just didn't get it, Mike. That list headed stressors and precipitants. There's not much left of it now. We have 7. Other significant other. And we have 5. Mental health. Nature of disorder, A, psychological. B, ideational, organic. C, metaphysical. Now I cross out 7. I cross out Arn Debs. Now I cross out 5A. After some thought, I cross out 5C. And then my head gives a sudden nod, and I cross out 5B. That, too, I excise. Now there's nothing. It's 3:25 before it hits me. Yesterday was Sunday. The night train must have been through hours ago. Hours ago, the night train came and went. On the evening Jennifer Rockwell died, the sky was clear and the visibility excellent. But the seeing was no good at all. Part 3, the seeing. This is where I felt it first, in the armpits. On March 4th, Jennifer Rockwell fell burning out of a clear blue sky, and that's where I first felt the flames, in my armpits. I woke late, and alone, though not quite. Tobe was long gone, but somebody else was just leaving. The morning after she died, Jennifer was in my room, standing at the foot of the bed till I opened my eyes. Then, of course, she disappeared. She returned the next day, fainter, and again, and always fainter. But this morning she was back with all her original power. Is that why the parents of dead children spend half the rest of their lives in darkened rooms? Are they hoping the ghosts will return with all their original power? She wasn't just standing there this time. She was pacing for hours, pacing swiftly, bent, lurching. I felt that Jennifer's ghost was trying to throw up. Trader was right. Making sense of suicide doesn't make sense of anything much, including suicide. But yet, it told me what I needed to know. Its author didn't tell me. Jennifer told me. In the margins of her copy of the book, Jennifer had made certain marks, queries, exclamation points, and vertical lines, some straight, some squiggly. She had marked passages of genuine interest, such as might have struck anyone who was new to the field, like the bigger the city, the higher the rate. Other passages, I can only think, were just being heckled for their banality. Examples: many people sadly kill themselves around exam time. When encountering a depressed person, say something like, "You seem a bit low," or Things not going well? In bereavement, make yourself better, not bitter. Yeah, right. Do that. It was way after Trader called, and I was still sitting up, brain dead from reading stuff like that about how unfortunate suicide is for all concerned. Then I saw the following, marked with a double query by Jennifer's hand, and I felt ignition, like somebody struck a match. I felt it in my armpits. As part of the pattern, virtually all known studies reveal that the suicidal person will give warnings and clues as to his or her suicidal intentions. Part of the pattern. Warnings, clues. Jennifer left clues. She was the daughter of a police. That did matter. The other end of it came to me this morning as I was clattering through the kitchen cupboards, looking for a pack of Sweet and Low. I found myself dully staring at the bottles of jug liquor that Tobe seeps his way through. And in response, I felt my liver shimmer, seeming to excrete something, and I thought, wait. A body has an inside as well as an outside, even Jennifer's body. Especially Jennifer's body, which has consumed so much of our time. This is the body that Miriam bore, that Colonel Tom protected, that Trader Faulkner caressed, that High Talkinghorn tended, that Paulie No cut. Christ, don't I know this about bodies? Don't I know about alcohol? Don't I know about Sweet and Low? You do something to the body, and the body does something back. At noon, I called the office of the Dean of Admissions at CSU. I gave the name and the year of graduation. I said, I'll spell it. Trounce. First name, Phillida. What address do you have? One moment, sir. Look, I'm not sir, okay? I'm sorry, ma'am. One moment. We have an address in Seattle and in Vancouver. That's it? The Seattle address is more recent. You want that? No. Phillida's back in town, I said. Her guardian's surname. Spell it, please. This information I flipped over to Silvera. Next, I called State Cutter Paulie No. I asked him to meet me for a drink this evening at 6. Where? What the hell? In the decoy room at the Mallard. Next, I called Colonel Tom. I said I'd be ready to talk. Tonight. From now on, at least, I won't be asking any more questions, except those that expect a certain answer. I won't be asking any more questions. Phillida Trounce was back in town, or back in the burbs, Moon Park. She herself had no real weight in all this, and as I drove across the river and out over hillside, I could feel a great failure of tolerance in me. I thought, if she wasn't so nuts, we could do this on the fucking phone. A failure of tolerance or just a terrible impatience now to get the thing down. The insane live in another country, Canada, but then they come home. And sane people hate crazy people. Jennifer hated crazy people, too, because Jennifer was sane. On the phone, Phillida had tried to give me directions, and she'd gotten lost. But I did not get lost. Moon Park was where I was born. We lived in the crummier end of it, Crackertown. This, wooden cartons with add-on A-frames or cinder block shacks with cardboard windows, now spruced up with pieces of contemporary detritus. The soaked plastic of yard furniture, climbing frames, kiddie pools, and squads of half-dismantled cars with covens of babies crawling around in their guts. I slowed as I passed the old place. We have all moved on, but my fear is still living there, in the crawl space underneath. It was over in the Crescent that Phillida and her stepma now resided. The houses here are larger, older, spookier. One memory. As kids, we had to dare each other to do the Crescent on Halloween. I would lead. With a rubber ghoul mask over my face, I'd use the knocker, and then, minutes later, a gnarled hand would curl around the door and drop a 10-cent treat bag onto the mat. There'd been rain, and the house was on a slow drip. You and Jennifer, you roomed together at CSU. In a house with 2 other girls, a 3rd and 4th girl. Then you got sick, didn't you, Phillida? But you hung on till graduation. I hung on. Then you guys lost touch. We wrote for a time. I'm not one for going out. But Jennifer came here to see you, didn't she, Phillida? In the week before she died. By now, I'm giving myself the cop shrug and thinking I know exactly why Jennifer killed herself. She set foot in this fucking joint, that's why. Yes, said Phillida. On the Thursday before she died. The room was muffled with dust, but cold. Phillida was sitting in her chair like a life-size photograph, like the photograph in Jennifer's apartment, just the same, only more beat-looking. Straight, thin, weak brown hair over a gaze that traveled not an inch into the world. Also present was a guy, about 30, fair with a balding mustache. He never said a word or even looked in my direction, but attended to the buzz of the earphones he wore. His face gave no indication of the kind of thing he was listening to. It could have been heavy metal, could have been Teach Yourself French. There was a third person in the house, the stepmother. I never saw this woman, but I heard her, blundering around in the back room and groaning with infinite fatigue as each new obstacle materialized in her path. Jennifer, stay long? 10 minutes. Phillida, you're a manic depressive, right? I think my eyes came off brutal when I said it, but she nodded and smiled. But you have that under control now, don't you, Phillida? She nodded and smiled. Yeah. 1 pill too many and she slips into a coma. 1 pill too few and she goes out and buys an airplane. Jesus, the poor bitch. Even her teeth are nuts. Her gums are nuts. You keep a pill chart, don't you, Phillida? And a roster. You probably have one of those little yellow boxes with the time compartments and the dosages. She nodded. Do something for me. Go count your pills and tell me how many are missing. The stabilizers, the Tegretol, or whatever. While she was gone, I listened to the steady buzz of the guy's earphones, the insect drone, the music of psychosis. I listened also to the woman in the other room. She stumbled and groaned with that unforgettable weariness, that indelible weariness. And I said out loud, she got it too. Jesus Christ, I'm surrounded. I stood up and moved to the window. Drip, drop, said the rain. It was now that I made myself a promise that only the few would understand. The stepmother stumbled and groaned, stumbled and groaned. Phillida came floating down the passage like a nurse. I moved to the door. She herself had no real weight in this. She was just the connect. How many? I called. 5, 6. I think 6. And I was gone. Hurry, hurry, because you see, this is where we came in. It's 5 p.m. on April 2nd. In an hour, I meet with Paulie No. I will ask him 2 questions. He will give me 2 answers. Then it's a wrap. It's down. And again, I wonder, is it the case? Is it reality? Or is it just me? Is it just Mike Houlihan? Trader says it's like calling shots in a ball game. It even fucks with your eyes. You call a good ball out because you wish it out. You wish it out so bad that you see it out. You have an agenda to win, to prevail, and it fucks with your eyes. When I was working murders, it sometimes felt like TV, but the wrong way around, as if some dope had watched a murder mystery based on a true story and was bringing it back for you the wrong way around, as if TV was the master criminal, beaming out game plans to the somnambulists of the street. You're thinking this is ketchup from a squeezer that's getting crusty around the spout. I am taking a good firm knot and reducing it to a mess of loose ends. And why would I see it like that if it wasn't so? It's the last thing I want. This way, I don't win. This way, I don't prevail. But let's ride with the ketchup, with procedural ketchup of questions and numbers and expert testimony. Then we can do the noir. I may still be provably wrong. This is where we came in. On the phone, I said that I would be buying. But when we're standing at the bar in the decoy room and facing that palisade of booze, Paulie No flattens out a 20 and asks me, "What's your poison?" And I say, "Seltzer." There's a lilt in his voice, and his full-lidded eyes are downward glancing. Since he's apparently twigged that I'm off from CID just now, he seems to think that this is tantamount to a date. Unexpected, because I'd always fingered him for a fruit. Like every other pathologist you ever came across, as if anybody gives a fuck one way or the other. We talk about 5 irons and RBIs and whether the pushers have what it takes to beat the rapists next Saturday or whatever. And then I say, "Paulie, this conversation never happened, okay?" "What conversation?" "Thanks, Paulie. Paulie, remember when you cut the Rockwell girl?" "Most definitely. Every day it should be like that." "It beats bursters, right, Paulie? It beats floaters, hey? We're going to talk dead bodies. We're going to talk living meat." No speaks perfect American, but he looks like Fu Manchu's nephew. I'm staring at his mustache, which is shiny but also patchy, threadbare. Christ, he's like the guy under the earphones in The Crescent. I mean, it's pretty basic, isn't it? Why have a mustache when it just didn't happen? His hands are clean, puffy, and gray, like the hands of some dish-plunging stiff in a diner kitchen. I congratulate myself. I'm flesh and blood, not hide and ice. I can still get the creeps around Paul No, a state cutter who loves his job. But every 10 minutes I'm shuddering at the thought of how hard-barked I've gotten. The night is young, Paulie. Eric, another beer for Dr. No. With suicides, know what they used to do? What, Paulie? Dissect the brain looking for special lesions. Suicide lesions caused by, tell me, masturbation. That's interesting. This is interesting also. There was a tox report on the Rockwell girl. You didn't see it. Why would I? Yeah, well, the colonel had it shit canned. What was it, marijuana? Then, horrifically overdoing the mock horror, he said, cocaine? Lithium. Somehow, we all bought the lithium. We all swallowed it. Colonel Tom down to his last marble. High Talkinghorn going lean and mean into his own little end zone. Traitor because he believed her dying words, because he felt the special weight as testimony of dying words. And I, too, bought and swallowed, because otherwise... Lithium? He said. No way. Lithium? Fuck no. Here we are in the decoy room, the day after April Fools. These, surely, are not Jennifer's jokes. It's just the world being heavy-handed. Similarly, in the center of the room, over the white baby grand, the sleepy-looking... Let me recast that sentence. Over the white baby grand, the pianist with the big hair is playing Night Train, of all things, in the Oscar Peterson style, but with trills and graces, not passion and muscle. I make my head do a half circle and expect to see, straddling the next stool along, Arn Debs's tense and keg-like thighs. But all I get are the Monday night drinkers and decoys, and the wall of hooch and the bubbling tide line on Paulie No's mustache. I say, so don't tell me. An individual's on that shit for a time, maybe a year. What would you see? He says, oh, you'd most certainly be seeing signs of renal damage there after maybe a month, most definitely. I say, seeing what signs? He says distal tubules where the salt was reabsorbed. The thyroid also would underfunction and enlarge. I say, and the Rockwell girl? He says, no fucking way. Her organ tree was like a wall chart. The kidneys, they were dinner. No, man, she was like plan A. Paulie, this conversation never happened. Yeah. I believe you're going to keep that promise, Paulie. I always liked and trusted you. You did? I thought you had a thing against slants. Me? No, I said, and earnestly. I have no idea what I'm feeling. Random stabs of love and hate. But I gave the cop shrug and said, no, Paulie, it's just that you seem so absorbed in your job. That's true. This has been nice, and we'll do it again soon, but just so we understand each other, you keep your mouth shut about Jennifer Rockwell, or Colonel Tom will put you out. Believe it, Paul. You won't be cutting on Battery and Jefferson. You'll be bucket boy at final rest. But I trust you, and I know you'll keep your promise to me. That's what you got my respect for. Have another one, Mike. For the road. I felt relief like luxury when I added, just a seltzer. Yeah, sure. Why not? Tobe is attending a video game tournament and will not be home till 11. It's now 9. At 10, I have a phone date with Colonel Tom, so it should work out. I'm sitting here at the kitchen table with my notebook, my tape recorder, my PC. I'm wearing my latest golf pants with the big gold check and a white Brooks Brothers shirt, and I'm thinking, oh, Jennifer, you wicked girl. It's a phone date with Colonel Tom because I won't be able to do this face-to-face, for several reasons. One of them being that Colonel Tom always knows when I'm not telling the truth. He'll say, meet my eye, Mike, like a parent, and I wouldn't be able to do that. Today in the Times, there's a piece about a recently recognized mental disorder called the Paradise Syndrome. I thought, look no further. That was what Jennifer had. Turns out it's just this thing where ignorant billionaires, stars of soap and rock and ballpark succeed in rigging up some worries for themselves, some booby traps, pitfalls in paradise. In suicide studies, there used to be a rough rule that went, the more violent the means, the louder the snarl at the living. The louder they said, look what you made me do. If you left your body whole, merely mimicking sleep, then this was considered a quieter reproach to those who were left behind. Left behind, no. They stop, we go on. The dead are those who are left behind. Still, I never believed that. The woman who cuts her throat with an electric carving knife. You're telling me she's got a thought for anybody else? But yet, 3 bullets, like the opposite of 3 cheers. What a judgment. What highness. What ice. She hurt the living, and that's another reason to hate her. And she didn't even care that everyone would remember her as just another mad bitch. Everyone except me. Unfair. She was the daughter of a police. Her father commanded 3,000 sworn. She knew that he would follow her trail. And I believe she knew also that I would play a part in the search. Sure. Who else? If not me, who? Who? Tony Silvera, Olton O'Boy, who? As she headed toward death, she imprinted a pattern that she thought would solace the living. A pattern. Something often seen before. Jennifer left clues, but the clues were all blinds. Bax Denziger's mangled algorithm, a blind, and a joke saying something like, "Don't grind your axe against the universe, I grind mine against Mother Earth." The painting she bought, a blind, an indolent afterthought. The lithium was a blind. Arn Debs was a blind. Man, was he ever. For days I have hated her for Arn Debs. Detested her, despised her. Hated it that she thought I'd swallow Arn Debs, that I'd reckon he'd do, even as a decoy. But then again, shit. Who did she ever see me run with? From the age of 8, she watched me hanging on the arms of woman-haters and woman-hitters. Me with my black eye and Dwayne with his. Dennis and myself holding hands as we limped off to join the line outside Emergency. These guys didn't just slap me around. We had fistfights that lasted half an hour. Jennifer must have thought that black and blue were my favorite colors. What would you expect from Mike Houlihan, a woman who was gored by her dad? Sure, I'd go for big Arn Debs. And why wouldn't I figure, being so fucking dumb, that Jennifer might go for him too? Did she not see intelligence in me? Did she actually not? Did nobody see it? Because if you take intelligence from me, if you take it from my face, then you really don't leave me with very much at all. You key the mic and you get the squawk that no one wants. Check suspicious odor. I have checked suspicious odors. Suspicious? No. This is blazing crime. Fulminant chemistry of death on the planet of retards. I've seen bodies, dead bodies. In tiled morgues, in cell blocks, in district lockups, in trunks of cars, in project stairwells, in loading dock doorways, in tractor-trailer turnarounds, in torched row houses, in corner carryouts, in cross alleys, in crawl spaces, and I've never seen one that sat with me like the body of Jennifer Rockwell, propped there naked after the act of love and life, saying even this, all this, I leave behind. A sudden memory. Jesus, where did that come from? I once saw Phillida Trounce. In the old days, I mean, at the Rockwell place. Sweating booze into the blankets, I turned on my side and fumbled with the latch of the window, and there she was, 3 feet away, staring, in vigil. We looked at each other. No big thing. 2 ghosts saying, "Hi, Mac." Phillida Trounce is still walking. Phillida's stepma is still walking, blundering, groaning. We're all still walking, aren't we? We're still persisting, still keeping on, still sleeping, waking, still crouching on cans, still crouching in cars, still driving, still taking it, still eating it, still home improving and 12-stepping it, still waiting, still standing in line, still scrabbling in bags for a handful of keys. Ever have that childish feeling with the sun on your salty face and ice cream melting in your mouth, the infantile feeling that you want to cancel worldly happiness, turn it down as a false lead? I don't know. That was the past, and I sometimes think that Jennifer Rockwell came from the future. 10 o'clock. I will record and then transcribe. I have nothing to tell Colonel Tom except lies. Jennifer's lies. What else can I tell him? Sir, your daughter didn't have motives. She just had standards. High ones, which we didn't meet. In the decoy room, with Paulie No, when I ordered the second seltzer, that was a sweet moment, the moment of deferral, tasting far sweeter than what I'm tasting now. I will record and then transcribe. Oh, Father. Colonel Tom, Mike. Yeah, Mike, listen, you're sure you want to do it this way? Colonel Tom, what can I tell you? People point themselves at the world. People show a life to the world. Then you look past that, and you see it ain't so. 1 minute it's a clear blue sky. Then you look again and there's thunderheads all around. Slow this down, Mike. Can we slow this down? It measures up, Colonel Tom. It all measures up. Your little girl was on a break. No doctor was giving her that stuff she was taking. She was getting it on the street, on the... Mike, you're talking too loud. On the fucking street, Colonel Tom. For a year, she was second-guessing her own head. Bax Denziger told me she'd started losing it on the job and talking about death, about staring at death, and things were coming apart with Trader because she was sizing up some other guy. Who? What other guy? Just some guy. Met in a bar, only a flirt thing, maybe, but you see what it's saying. Don't tell Trader. Don't tell Miriam because she... Mike, what's happening with you? It's a pattern. It's all classic, Colonel Tom. It's a dunker, man. It's a piece of shit. I'm coming over. I won't be here. Listen, I'm fine. I'm good. Really. Wait. That's better. I'm just upset with all this. But now it's made. And you just have to let it be, Colonel Tom. I'm sorry, sir. I'm so sorry. Mike, it's down. There, finished, all gone. Now me, I'm heading off to Battery and its long string of dives. I want to call Trader Faulkner and say goodbye, but the phone's ringing again, and the night train's coming. And I can hear that dickless sack of shit bending the stairs out of joint. And let him see what happens if he tries to stand in my way, or just gives me that look, or opens his mouth and says so much as one single word.